Hello, and thank you so much for taking the time out to listen. So today I titled this message, They Lie, and Then This Happens. They lie, and then this happens. Our focus is on the player of that list that every now and again I like to mention on this channel, which is the pimps, the players, the hustlers, the gamblers, the liars, the drunkards, and some of you all know the rest. So, we have individuals who, unfortunately, once again, are playing mind games. This could be the individual in the next room for some of you all who you are not married to, and he's playing a game or two. Or the one you're married to, and you think that what is on his phone, what is in his car, or at the office is fine. It's harmless. But there are those who we know, who we've encountered, sat down with, talked with, that they let us know what game is, how game is played, and how they did not ever want us to be mixed up in any system, process, political agenda, or anything else that would play us. Players, no players. Oh, get ready for this message today. Like, subscribe, comment, share. But the target is to gain the trust, the respect, the love, the adoration from silly women. But why women? Why not? You carry some organs within you that are very different from men. And some of you all have had the ability to carry children. And others, you plan on carrying a child. There are those who know the importance of reaching women because they know that to reach a woman, they will eventually reach the man that that woman sleeps with, that she's married to, that she procreated with, and ultimately reach his money. And if she's making money too, all the more. Let me tell you how this looked over the years. Various establishments, movements, agendas have been put together to create manufactured chaos. I'm tense, you're tense. What are we tense about? Well, after the dating, I'm just giving myself as an example. After the dating, the merrymaking, the communicating, I love you and you love me and let's create this family. The reality kicks in. For some of you all, was it what you really wanted? Or was there an agenda that moved you into making decisions that you really didn't want to do? Some men can speak to that. Whatever the agenda, the cultural trend, there is this emphasis placed on how you are to do whatever that agenda expects. So if the emphasis is placed on getting married, and you got people around you who tell you, get married, you do it. If the emphasis is placed on something where even your mom, your dad would blush, and you see some benefit, then you do it. Those are just a couple of examples. But the liar, the player in the game, whether it is a player or he or she or they is a player that has the agenda on a local level, or a player who's at a top level, the game plan is we want to benefit from this. Whether you benefit or not doesn't matter. We want to benefit from this. The player sleeps with the young lady and he is happy about the event. I'm trying to choose my words carefully here. But she's not. And then they have their moments again. And he's happy and she's not. And this goes on and on and on for years. And then one day she meets someone who makes her happy. Bye-bye. See you. Good riddance. Arrivederci. The player who plays his games, whether he does it with money, with fame, with fortune, has to get silly women to co-sign, to support, to go along with. So he's going to tell his share of lies. The player already has your dossier, if you will, the things that you love, that you like. And for a period of time, you get what you want. How many times have we been in relationships where we got what we wanted initially? And we were singing that person's praises. Well, if you can relate to that at your house or around your house or at someone else's house, then understand this as we see transition going as it relates to the White House. Stay with me. Cast all of your personal opinions and your attitude and what you think of me and what I'm saying and where I stand and all of that. Cast all of that out, because when I'm bringing these words to you, I'm bringing them based on what I'm observing, what God Himself is showing me, because I'm asking questions. And the key is to be empowered through the various examples, because someone in this network is being played. You are being fed all of the wonderful things that said individual is giving you. And then sooner or later, you find out when you start digging through a glove compartment, or you look under a rug somewhere, or in a cabinet, or in a basement, or in an attic somewhere, you find out the truth. As I say every now and again on this channel, the old VHS tapes, you find out the truth. But when you're not looking for the truth, you believe the lie. And so as long as you're not questioning or asking or digging, you're all right with the player. You stay in your lane, and maybe I'll do for you. I'll help you. I remember players showing up at family holiday events, running game. There were certain people who were new to the family, so they just believed whatever came out of the player's mouth. But those of us who knew the player knew that, once again, you're telling your share of lies. The confrontations took place. There was some yelling. There was some anger. There were people talking about they were going to go upside somebody's head because I'm no fool. Maybe you got them girls over there. And I used to hear some of my elders cussing and fussing about this sort of thing. Maybe you got them girls over there fooled, but you don't have me. Some of you all got fooled. You got bamboozled. You got tricked into a number of things over decades. Like I said, we got people in the family who they've known about a relative for 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 plus some years. This is what he does. He lies. He tells people that he can do this, that, and the other. And up to a certain point, he will. And then after that, the mask falls off. Can I tell you, the mask is going to fall off. Don't get, once again, all in your feelings. I know some folks want to ride on happy, 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 joy, 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 and all of that. The happiness, the joy comes from the Lord. It doesn't come from men and women and they and it. It comes from the Lord. And if I got my joy over here in the Lord and what the Lord is doing, I could care less what that man is doing or what that man is promising. If you can do it, great. If you can't, hey, that's all good. But this train's going to keep on moving. But there are going to be some people who are going to be hurt. They're going to hear some things. They're going to see some things. And they're going to be hurt. And our justice system is going to be challenged in ways that it's never been challenged before. The questions are going to come up again. Well, what do you do when this happens and that happens? And how do you handle? Because we've never experienced this before. Some of you all, the player showed up in your daughter's life or your son's life, because we got female players. And ever since that person showed up, one particular individual told me the child was never the same. And we're not talking about child like, high school and that sort of thing, but adult son, adult daughter, never the same. A player comes in, and if the agenda is an evil agenda, it's going to be the type of agenda that attacks your parenting. It attacks your homemaking. Some of you all from back in the day, you remember how it used to be. And this is why some individuals will say they want to make America great again, because they remember back in the day how it was. We cherry pick. We say, yeah, we remember how back in the day was. And depending on who's telling us that, we say, oh, so you wanted to be back to prejudice again, right? Lots of racist sort of behaviors, huh? Keeping people in the back of the bus somewhere or out there on the field. And some people go, no, that's not what I meant. We remember when people had a bedtime, so to speak. You didn't stay up all hours of the night watching TV. The TV had those blocks, those colorful blocks that showed up on the screen. And that was the end of it. TV was off. Go to bed. You see. There wasn't this everything is open all hours of the night. And then on Sundays, you didn't have everything open on a Sunday. It was a day of rest. The prayer in schools. I remember prayer in school, as well as taking my hand, placing it over my heart, and the Pledge of Allegiance every day. It's not always what you think. Can I tell somebody that? Making something great again isn't always what you think. And I'm not picking any particular side, nor am I saying, oh, well, because, this is what they want. Well, then I guess we're all supposed to acquiesce to that, because I'm not that type of thing. I'm not trying to stir up that pot like that. But what we are finding, that the system or systems that have been put in place over the years, you get some folks who were so zealous and wanted so much to the point where they broke the system. We just want some parents to be able to enjoy their role as a parent. We want some homemakers to enjoy being at home. We want some people to be the wife and the mother and all of that good stuff, but then somebody comes along and they abuse the system. They start looking more into what it is than what it is. Player comes along and says, look, I'm not interested in wives and mothers unless, well, you can make me some money or make me a baby or make me a meal, but you gonna do something because I got things I need to do, right? Okay, that's street talking. If street is about self, then what street's gonna do is look at everything that's going to be beneficial to self. Stay with me. A silly woman who doesn't know too much of anything, she's not educated, will go along with whatever the player says. And many of them, back in the day, silly women were not encouraged to get education because players knew the difference. An educated woman is going to challenge authority. You see. An educated woman is going to ask questions. An educated woman is going to do her due diligence, her research, and she's going to go looking into boxes and bins and everything else and know your little cell phone is not just about, oh, put a password on it and I'm never to talk about it. I want to know what's on your cell phone, but not the silly woman. She's not going to do all of that. The silly woman is just happy. She's gleeful. She's laughing, you see. She doesn't care as long as you're giving her what she wants. But these women started becoming more and more educated. And as they became more and more educated, it was a problem. It was a problem for the player. So you got groups of players who are men who want things to go back. So they're hoping that their agenda be met. Let's put these women back at home. Let's have the wife be back in the kitchen again. Let's have whatever we want. The agenda is simple. The agenda is simple. When it comes to the player, it's all about self. It's all about self. That's the main objective. It doesn't matter the colors, the age, whether big, little, whether it makes a lot of money or not so much. What's in it for me? Everything about a player is about what's in it for me. Using another example, the political narratives that we hear. Back in the day, there was this emphasis placed on individualism. Okay? And there were movements pushing people toward independence. And they did a pretty good job. Look around, look around. They did a pretty good job. I want you to be successful. I want you to be the top. I want you to be the most feared. I want you to be powerful. I want you to set this world on fire. You can be anything that you want to be. You can achieve anything. Are you riding with us? Yeah. Woo. Right? Okay. A lot of that rallying the men up and rallying up the girls turning into women and boys. I want to be like my daddy. I grew up during that time. I saw a lot of that. I heard. Okay. But then fast forward. You still got those voices in your head. No wonder you got this stressful marriage. You got those voices in your head. No wonder you can't seem to keep a man. Or don't want a man. Or don't want a woman. Because Focus is on self. And self comes before family. Let me tell you what this looked like even in my own families over the years. Got this opportunity. Oh, okay, sounds good. Yeah, we got to pick up and move. What? Yeah, you want more money, don't you? Well, I mean, it's not necessarily me getting more money. It's, y'all, you know what I mean. I'm going to be getting this money, pack up and move. The money is more important than what family says. Well, we don't want to move. Doesn't matter. Well, we really want to stay here. Doesn't matter. Well, give me a chance to establish myself. You can go ahead on and pursue your dream. And then if everything works well, we'll come later. That's not going to work. Well, let me just see. And then you go and you find out. There's no way I can take care of this family unless I go on welfare. Welfare, another job on top of that. Now, let me take my calculator out. Looks like we'll barely make it, or we won't make it at all. So you go off and you do what you do. Now, player gets into the new city, sees some new tail. Player goes, wow, look at the options. Came across a woman years ago, broke my heart. She was brought from another country, could barely speak the language. And this happened quite a bit back in the day too, as well as nowadays. And when the man got tired of her, and he was in the service, when he got tired of her, after she had the baby, he played along, we're the doting family, whatever else. And then one day, while she was working, he took the baby and he got called off somewhere to take care of something, and at that time she hadn't seen her child. She said she just came home from work. See, I feel like, and we didn't get into too many details, and she spoke broken English, but I feel like it was systematic on his part. That over time, once he realized all of what this meant to stay in this family, he's like, I don't want her, but I want my child. And it's more than what I can handle. Her cultural differences, the way she speaks is annoying. All of those factors come into play. But I'm not about to leave my child behind. But I still want to play on. Because all he got to do is just go find some woman who feels so sorry. He can tell that woman a lie, say that she wasn't there for her child. Meanwhile, he took the child. And now this woman goes, why would somebody do that? Now he's got somebody who he really wants, who he can identify with the culture, who doesn't speak broken English. You see, players going to play on. Some folks, it's nothing new under the sun when you see everything happening with the industry. The entertainment industry, the tech industry, manufacturing, real estate. It's nothing new under the sun. The government. But it's brand new to many of us when it's been information kept behind lock and key for so many years. And then somebody decides, well, we're going to start talking about this, that, and the other. The player, once again, when it benefits him or her or they or it, all the information comes out as long as I'm benefiting. But if I'm not benefiting, then the information isn't going to come out. The players in the games of various policies, they knew that if they could circumvent parental authority, if they could be able to do some things to tear the fabric of the family apart so that they could build it up in the way that they wanted, they would do it. So you had various leaders that were out there, not only promoting individualism, but telling you how to parent your children. And I remember some of my relatives back in the day going off about this sort of thing. You ain't going to pick up no phone and call no police on us because we just disciplining. We doing this. You know, they were trying to downplay some things. But we knew as we got educated as children that this is that bad stuff that they're talking about. Yeah, that's abuse. Then you use that terrible A word to them. No, it's not. What are you talking about? Because see, when things were commonplace and everybody was doing it and nobody got in trouble for some things, it wasn't considered any of that. But when people started getting in trouble for some things and they knew they had to change their way of disciplining children, some pushed back and it only got worse for some kids. You act like you're going to pick up that phone. You act like you're going to tell. You see, I'm giving you all a mix of the history while still staying on point with the lies that the players, not just that player playing women, but that player playing the whole system. You see, the whole system. And once again, silly women, uneducated women, everything is always fun and pretty and good and nice. And it's my fault. It's my fault. It's my fault that he slapped me. It's my fault that he punched me. It's my fault that he hit me. I should have kept my mouth shut. That type of system. This is why there were those who come along, said we got to change some things. But sometimes you can go too far with your change. To the point where, what was the agenda again? So the woman gets pushed out to go work, go find a job. She can only find but so much because she's not very educated, which keeps her money in a place where she still got to rely on that man. And this is why you had your grandmothers and great-grandmothers and mothers talking about, you better get your own money. You don't want this life. He out here, he got his money, and he's out here messing with women when he feel like it. And I'm relying on him. See, we were wondering why they were putting so much pressure on us, because they knew what men do at that time. And even now. He then went and got involved with this woman, using that example again of the woman who spoke broken English. Went and got this woman, and this woman, she doesn't really know what we're talking about, so she's just giggling. She's just laughing. Everything's funny. She really don't know what's going on. We know him. We know that this is just a notch on his belt. He got caught. He gonna go ahead on and take that baby from that woman. Or he gonna make her life a living hell. If you gonna stick around and stay, well, understand this. Whoever I get involved with and whatever I do, you just shut your mouth. You understand? And you do what I tell you to do. And you gonna watch how you treat me. If I tell you hold my hand, you hold my hand. Matter of fact, let's get some medicine for her. And the medicine makes her laugh. The medicine makes her happy. God's showing me some things in the spiritual realm. I'm seeing a very, Lord Jesus, a very popular woman right before me. It's like she's sitting right in front of me or standing right in front of me. Got her on some kind of drug to make her happy so that she can tolerate what her man is doing and what he's not doing, so that she can stop making a fool of him in front of the media every now and again. If you want to understand present day, you got to go back in the history. Players are told by their playing daddies, don't get married, man. You really don't want to get married. Then once the player gets older, well, I guess you could go ahead on and settle down, brother. Right? You don't want to be no dad. Not right now, man. Enjoy your life. Then as he gets older, you know what? Maybe you should settle down, get yourself a nice family. You see the conflict there? Why is it that he went from saying all of these things to now? Yeah, because he's seeing his life flashing before him. And he's realizing that nobody's really coming to his aid all like that. And after he done all of his crazy sexual sin, where every orifice has been violated in some capacity so that he could be the top tier, now he has all those troubles coming from everywhere too. Players do get older. Come on. Players are already old. And they don't like you reminding them that they're old. See, there's some things where there is no running from it. The player is older. Okay? No bias going on. We're going to look at just simple fact. Okay? He works for the organization, and let's say that he was sharp, very sharp. He was able to take care of everything that he was supposed to take care of while he worked for the establishment. But then as time goes on, his eyesight isn't as sharp, and so he's missing some things. His ears, he's not able to hear as well as he once did. His speaking, his enunciating words, his being able to explain his thoughts, he's not doing so well. Giving proper direction, his logic and reason has been impacted. He's speaking off the cuff and he's hurting people's feelings. What's up with Granddad? You see, Granddad's frustrated because he can't pull the silly women like he used to. Granddad's mad because he can't get away with all the lies that he has spoken for so many years. Granddad's still worried, got his share of anxiety and paranoia because the tapes from a long time ago. Who has those tapes? You see? Players that are a part of various political movements, agendas, establishments, and so on and so forth will change the narrative, will redefine what we have long thought was whatever that is. So in the family, you have your concept in terms of what marriage is supposed to look like. Player comes along and wants to redefine what marriage is supposed to look like and what the gender roles are supposed to be. So depending on how close you are to that one in the family who's that player who's telling a bunch of lies, you're going to go along with some things until you learn the hard way. Now it's marriage 1 ends in divorce. Marriage 2 ends in divorce. Marriage 3 and so on and so forth. Or maybe you never made it down that path and you think that you're supposed to get some kind of award for it, right? But you got breakup after breakup after breakup, a body count. Oh, you got a whole lot of quantity, but you don't have any quality. Oh, the player got a whole lot of numbers. But what about the quality? Silly rabbits. Tricks are for kids. Tricks are for kids. And as old as some people are, they're still playing all sorts of games. I talked to one player not that long ago. And he out here talking about he's still sowing his oats. What you talking about? What you talking about? You like 70 now, right? A young 70. But still, I'm trying to hear some wisdom at this point. I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. I'm trying to see if all the prayers have worked, and instead people still talking crazy. So the silly women who believe in the players, this is in the Bible in terms of the silly women, that is. I mean, you could call King David a player looking at Bathsheba. But 2 Timothy 3, 6 and 7 in the New International Version. They are the kind, talking about silly women here, who worm their way into homes and gain control over gullible women, who are loaded down with sins and are swayed by all kinds of evil desires, always learning but never able to come to a knowledge of the truth. Always learning but never able to come to a knowledge of the truth. Education is key. And if I'm not educated in terms of what my role is, the player is going to come over and tell me what my role is. If I'm not educated in terms of knowing how the player plays his game, then I'm going to be bamboozled, manipulated, sitting there laughing at everything like the person who doesn't know the language fully. And then before long, I end up doing some things that I don't want to do. What did you just say? Don't worry about it. No. I need to know. You don't need to know. All you need to know is, oh, wait a minute. Wow, thank you. You're welcome. And he slipped some money into her hand. She may not know the language, but she knows dollars and cents. And she knows that dollars and cents is going to get her whatever she wants in that moment. Maybe she needs her rent paid. Maybe she needs groceries. The Lord spoke to me a long time ago, and he showed me as well how players play and why some of my relatives were so angry, because they have been played by players. Lied to over and over again. Girl, it don't matter what his title is or how much money he has or how powerful he is. He's playing you, girl. Why did they know? How did they know? Because they have been victims. They have been victims. A lot of the passing around took place. I had went back in family history and found out that my great-grandfather, he was one of the biggest and harshest and most evil players going. Even though people spoke positively at times about him, while others didn't. This man was the type of person who he used his own children. Nowadays, you all use the word traffic. Looking back at what the various relatives had talked about, that's exactly what was going on with him. That's exactly what was going on with him. He used his own children. Played the game. But he couldn't play the game without knowing somebody else who played the game, or being approached by people who were willing to pay top dollar. I may not be able to know what all them big words are that you all are telling me, but I do know money. And I do know what a Woody Woodpecker look like. And so an exchange is made. And then it's a rinse and repeat, and a rinse and repeat until somebody is so enamored, adored, loved on one of those servants, workers, if you will, You won't buy her? Go on buy her then. Go on buy her. It's how much? And these weren't grown women. Many of them, they were children. Okay? I'm glad, once again, that the truth is coming out in all its forms. Very glad about that. Many a relative had to leave this world for us to be able to speak truth. That's why, for some individuals, they had to leave sooner rather than later. There's a season that God works in. And when He wants certain things to be exposed, He will go ahead and make sure that that happens. But not everybody is going to be along that chapter of that one's life who's speaking truth about the players in the game. And there's a lot of them. And there's so many connections to all of these players, depending on the industries that the players work in. We think about the street players every now and again, who they're out there and they're trying to figure out ways to get money by any means necessary. But then there are those players that sit in boardrooms, that sit in churches, that sit at the table of the next family holiday event. And they have shown up with their agendas, with their system, with their process. And anybody who is caught up in the way somebody looks, they're easily deceived. Anybody who likes to listen to speakers who get you all riled up in a way where you're out there doing and saying evil things, things that go against scripture, you're working for the devil at that point. That's another reason why Satan will bring his finest to the table. He will bring his finest to stand before you. Whether male, female, rich, poor, red, white, blue, yellow, it doesn't matter. He's going to bring whoever and whatever to stand before you. But he can't do it without God allowing it. Understand that. So the player, oh yes, when they say, well, God has something to do with it, because absolutely God has something to do with it. But it's not always what you think. You think sometimes that player showing up at that family holiday event, so to speak, or before mass media, is because, well, this is a wonderful thing, a great thing. Part of that, yes, but the other part is also to draw you back to the one true God, and it takes pain to do that for many people. It takes suffering, like us. We know all too well, those of us who had our existential crisis that brought us to Christ. We know that it takes crisis. It takes such a disappointment, a despair. Just, I can't believe, a shocking event where you say, you can't trust nobody. You can't believe nobody. I can't believe this one said this, did this. Yep, it's going to take that. And it all ultimately ushers in revelation. It ushers in God speaking to people in such a way where they're going to come running. Those who are called and chosen, because many are called, but there's chosen that are few. But one of the ways that the player gets in is by challenging belief systems and processes. And what better way than to attack the family as well as to support the family? All in one. All in one. And we'll get into the roles, the specific roles, when it comes to the family aspect of this walk that we're on. We're definitely going to get into that. But I brought the player into this because I'm seeing too many players popping up like weasels everywhere. and players showing all sorts of support for players because players know players, you see. And sometimes players, they know game, and then other times they have no clue. They don't even see where the game is going, who's playing the game, and they're just as ignorant. So you got your educated players, and then you got your uneducated players. But the Lord, He doesn't want us to sleep on these things because they all play a part in terms of future events. The preparation work right now is to prepare you for the disappointments, to prepare you for the despair, to prepare you for the shocking revelation and future confrontations too. We are not celebrating players, not in my household. We're not lifting up players. We're not protecting players. We're exposing players. And if you don't want to be exposed, then I suggest you get right with the one true God, confess your sin and repent. You see. But too often what we're seeing is the pride shows up, and the player doesn't want to admit fault, doesn't want to say, I apologize, doesn't want to show love, doesn't want to reach out and support others, unless once again it benefits. And then that support is nothing to talk about. Time and time again, we keep coming back around to this foolishness. Well, please stay tuned, because we are going to get into the biblical perspective of the roles within the family so that we can be able to fortify our walls, so that we are very much prepared for the manipulation that takes place from your house to the White House. I thank you as always for taking time out your schedule to listen. You've been listening to YouTube, Intimate Enterprise 7. Feel free to like, subscribe, comment, and thank you for your giving. Blessings to you.